Okay, so good afternoon and good evening, everyone. So today I'm going to talk about the topic documentation blueprint for the effortless working. So if you have any questions during the session, so please add them in a Q&A section and we will discuss them in the last. So yes, let's get started. Okay, so my name is Vishal Khode and I am a technical lead at Shrijan Technologies. And you can use this link to find me on Drupal.org, or you can search me with my complete name, Vishal Khode. And I'm on Twitter with the Twitter handle Vishal Khode 9. Okay, so following is the agenda for today's session. So we'll talk about what is the documentation and why do we need it. Then we will talk about the importance of documentation and why do we need everything documented when we already had our verbal conversation. Then we will see what are the different documentation types, mainly the project documentation and process documentation. Then we will deep dive into some of the documentation types and discuss why do we need them. Then I will share some of the general practices that should be applied to all these types of documents. Okay, so in software product development, documentation is the information that describes the product to its users. So in simple words, we can say documentation consists of different sets of documents which are either present in the printed form or present in online. That is either it could be in the form of docs, PDF, Excel sheet, etc. And documentation basically provide the proof or evidence of our verbal discussion. So what's the purpose of documentation and why do we need it? So basically documentation helps in describing the products to its users, and documentation describe the use, operation, maintenance or design of software through the use of manuals, listing, diagrams or flow chart, and it could be any other hard or soft copy and the graphic materials. So yes, prevent errors that may arise in oral or verbal communication. So yes, clearly written documentation basically prevent the errors that may arise in our oral or verbal communication. And the main goal of effective documentation is to ensure that the developers and the stakeholders that are involved are headed in the same direction to accomplish the objectives of the project. To achieve them, plenty of documentation types exist. Okay, so moving forward, let's take a basic example on to understand better the importance of the documentation. So consider a scenario like where client needed a logo and logo needs to be integrated in some of his web application. So in order to get tasks done, expectations were said that we need a logo and that should resemble a house, and the logo basically should have two windows and one door, and the door colors should be blue and the rooftop color should be brown. Now all the requirements were discussed orally and there was no written documentation, or let's say there was a very basic documentation available and that was captured. So this is how the project was documentation. So the important points were noted somewhere. So the requirements were identified by the team and the listed, right? So let's see now. This is how the project leader in the team understood it. So you can clearly see the difference in the client and project leader perception. You can see that the window direction has been changed and the color is also slightly different. What the client has explained it and what the project leader has understood it. And this is how the UI and UX designers design the logo. So why? Because the design documents was not available. The team discussed the requirements internally, and there was no proper indication on what should be the color code or how rooftop should look like, etc. And this is how the programmers developed and integrated in the web application. So again, we can clearly see the difference is there in the logo size, as the size requirement might have been discussed earlier, but since it's not documented anywhere, so it might have been missed from the team. And this is how the client really needed it. So right, he actually needed it like there should be a simple logo, and a door could be in the center and the windows could be aside of it. So what basically this would do, as the requirements were not clearly captured in the requirements document, so this would basically create the conflicts between the team and the client. And in order to fix things, extra rework would be needed now. And this would now affect the delivery time as well. So basically, that's the importance of documentation, and their documentation plays a very important role. So, so yes, the presence of a documentation basically helps keep track of all aspects of an application, and it improves on the quality of a software product. And basically, it acts as a proof of things to be carried out on a well-planned timeline. So if everything that was discussed verbally, if that is written in a detailed format, then those conflict which earlier came, so that would have been avoided. And the documentation help also ensure the consent and expectations agreed between the client team and the company. So in order to ensure that the product meet it user needs, so it needs to be understood, captured, and agreed upon, and their documentation is basically very useful, because knowing what is required and documenting it in a clear way plays a very crucial role in making a complete project successful. So documentation also helps new people get on board the project easily, smoothly, and without frenzy. So if the development teams are geographically distributed, then it helps a great deal to get on the same page faster with the very lesser confusion. So when onboarding a new developer, a project setup documentation is very handy, and it saves tens of man hours which are otherwise wasted in setting up the machines on an ad hoc basis. So if all the dependencies, prerequisites, network configurations, or setup instruction, etc., are documented, then it can be handed over to a developer or any other member in a team which needs to set up his machine. Then they can follow this instruction and can easily set up the project locally, and this will also saves a lot of time. So let's see the various documentations that are needed from the project start to project end, and the roles and responsibilities of the team. So first is the planning phase. So this includes the basically the stakeholders, engineering team, UI, UX designers, and whose primary responsibility should be capturing everything in the requirements and designing document. So during the planning phase, engineering team and stakeholders, maybe from the client team and the company, should discuss the requirements thoroughly, and then they should be able to identify what are the different features basic that are needed, and those features should be added in detail in the requirements document. And how the application should look and feel should be, so design team should capture this and add these design requirements in the design document. And by when and what should be the delivery timelines, milestone, etc., those should also be captured clearly in the requirements document. All these things should be basically done before writing a single line of code, as this would save a lot of time later, and this will provide the clear vision to the client and the team on what things that needs to be done to make a project successful. Then next we have the development phase. So here development team is responsible to make sure that they have created the technical and code documentation wherever it's applicable. So, and the technical documentation basically explain the use, functionality, creation, and the complete architecture of a product. And code documentation explains what a code base does and how it can be used. We will see later the importance of these documentation and why these are required and who get benefits in setting up the code and the technical documentation. Next is the quality assurance phase. And yes, this can go parallel with the development phase. And here, basically, QA team is responsible to make sure that they have proper test plans, testing strategies that should be applied, like the manual or automation testing. And basically, this phase covers the what to test and how to test. Then last but not the least, we have the end user documentation. Here, developer, QA, client team should create the end user documentations like README, user manuals, installation guides, etc., which basically covers on how to install and how to use the application. Okay, so moving on the further, we have the project documentation is overall, the project documentation is further divided into the two subparts. We have the product documentation and the process documentation. And the main difference between process and product documentation is that process document basically record the process of development, whereas the project documentation describes the product that is being developed. So mainly the process documentation covers the plans, estimates, schedules, the reports and metrics, coding standard, and if you have any access and permission metrics, and the if you in the project if there is any onboarding or offboarding checklist. And the product documentation is further divided into the two parts. That is, we have the application documentation and the system and the user documentation, which basically user documentation which covers basically the end users or installation or setup documentation. Okay, so now let's see what is the requirement documentation. So requirement document basically provides the information about the system functionality on how the system should work, what are the different features that are needed. So generally requirements are the system on what a system should do, and it should contain the enough details to outline the complete product's purpose, its feature, its functionalities, and the behavior of the complete product. So let's have a look on one project requirement document to understand various elements that should be included in our requirement documentation. And this is basically created using a Jira tool. So we should start our document with the information about the project participants, including product owner, and what are the different team members that are involved and the stakeholders. So these details will basically clarify the responsibilities and communicate the target release goals for each of the team members. And this should also provide the details about the milestone with high level timelines and details about the features we are targeting for different releases. Example, in the first release, development team will target for the feature 1 and the feature 2 within the expected timelines, and the mobile team will target for developing the iOS application, and QA team will target for the manual testing in the first release, and in the second release they will focus on writing the test cases for automation testing. So basically this will give us a rough estimate on the project timelines. And also the requirement document should, most important thing in the requirement document is that it should basically list or link all the user stories that are required for the project. And it should also have the priority listed as well, like we have the high, low, or medium, etc. So that the product owner can prioritize the features based on the discussion. And as the team solves the problems along with the project progression, they inevitably might have many questions arising in mind. So a good practice is generally to record all these documentations and track them. Like we have listed some of the open questions, and answers also should be listed, like what the decision was made. So this will make sure that we have the record of all things in being captured in the requirement documentation. And also we should also list the things which are out of scope, or the things which are not doing right now but we are planning on doing so. Such a list will help us organize our teamwork and prioritize the features. And we will have a record of everything at the one place. And this will also make sure that the everyone in the team, whether it's from the client team or in the company, and so everyone is in the same place. So let's say, why should we create the requirements document? So requirements basically help and communicate the customer needs and problems. Thorough requirements gathering stakeholders can basically establish a consensus on what is needed for the customer's problem to be solved. And using this requirement document, more accurate estimate for the budgets and timelines for the product delivery can be defined. And it also provides a defined plan before actually starting and designing the code work. And then stakeholders also can decide and prioritize the features or in tasks, and thus project timelines can be adjusted accordingly. And it would also define the roles and responsibility for the team members that are involved in the project. Okay, so moving on, let's see the architecture and design documentation, and why do we need it. So design documentation gives a product team framework for making the design decisions, like how the application look and feel should be, how user interaction would be there in the application. So those decision can be easily made if we create the design documentation. And design documentation should also include the architectural decision that was made. And basically it should answer the following questions, like what should be the architecture of our application, or what architecture our application should follow, like monolithic architecture, decoupled, headless, etc. And there should be enough facts to support the architectural decision. Like, so down the line, when a team new member is introduced, or a new team member is replaced with another developer, so they can follow this document and they will have the complete understanding on application architecture and design. So moving on, what is the code documentation? So code documentation is the written description that explain what the code base does and how it can be used. And well documented code will ensure that when you need to dive back in the morning, or maybe several months from now, then you won't have to take as much as time getting things up to the speed, right? And it can be a simple explanatory comments about the functions and blocks that would basically explain what the function or a block is doing. And there are multiple ways of documenting code, like choosing good names for the variables and functions, and maybe adding comments within the code, or leaving some brief comments within the code to help give the context to the future readers who are working in the project. And also, if our project involves the API, creation of the API, then we should also provide the API documentation, and then describes the each class, methods, argument, and the return value, so that if there is any other team doing using the API can follow this documentation and will have the complete details on how to use the APIs. Okay, so who benefits? So we often do simple or basically say complex work, but we disregard adding the code or technical documentation, thinking as it's not much valuable or and time-taking process. But actually, it provides benefits to everyone in the team. Like we have the junior developers, so how it will benefit? So because it's in a plain language and very easy to understand, so documentation helps the junior developers and a team member and the new team members feel confident jumping into a code base. And this also prevents the frustration and the earlier abandonment of a task, because sometimes it gets too complicated quickly. And it also helps the it is also helpful for the junior developers to write their own documentation, so they can share their code with others, and so they can get a better understanding their code. And the senior developer also benefits with it. So because by taking the time to document now, developer will spend less time in explaining their code to others in the future. And they can also write some more complex code, and the plain language documentation will let others to use it like a black box black box without having to understand the basically the inner workings. And also yes, it's also benefits to the team and the open source project. So because the personal changes can bring a tremendous slowdown to a project, and if we have the up to date and well documented code, so it can serve as an insurance against such slowdowns, and it will allow the remaining team members to take a step back, review the code, step back and review the code from a high level and decide on the best course of actions moving forward. And it will also benefits you. So because when documenting the code, you can summarize it, and in order to summarize properly, you must be able to understand it holding the different parts in your head at the same time. And writing or contributing to the documentation is a shortcut to really understanding a code base and making huge contributions, and it's a feeling like a great part of a great team. Okay, so then next we have the process documentation. Process documentation covers all the activities and surrounding the product development. And basically it covers the plans, estimates, and schedules. And these documents are usually created before the project starts, and it can be altered as the project evolves. And coding standard document, so it should include all the coding and UI or US standards that the team follows along with the project's progression. So for Drupal, we have an excellent coding standard document, and it lists all the coding standard that should be applied to code within Drupal and its contributed modules and themes. Uh, and then we have the reports and metrics. So reports basically reflect how time and human resources were used during the development, and they can be generated on a daily, weekly, or you can say a monthly basis. And in agile development, there are different metrics used to showcase the work that's in progress or the work that has been completed. Like we have the velocity chart, sprint burn down, release burn down, etc. Okay, so moving forward, the access matrix document. So this is really very useful documentation, and this is often neglected, but believe me, it's really very useful. And what does this document provide? So we can create a list of all access metrics that we have in our project, and and we can add all the different roles that we have in our project, and this list will provide the complete information about the access that should be given, or that should be given to any developers, QA, Scrum Master, etc. Or the and it will also provide the information that the access that currently have to these members in a project. And this list will also be useful in defining that what are the different access levels that needs to be given when onboarding a new team member in our team, and what are all the different access that should be revoked when offboarding. So if we have this list in hand, so it would be a very quickly to onboard or offboard a developer, and then revoke or grant the access for them. Okay, so moving forward, we have the permission matrix document. So the permission matrix document provide the in details about each point that we have listed in the access matrix document. So example, adding the project to the internal email distribution group. So as we can see here, like we have the different groups like project hyphen leads, and then the one email group is the project. So, and we can see that all team members are added in the project group, whereas only the leads are added in the project hyphen leads group. So if we want to send any email to the only the lead, so we can use that email distribution group. So similarly, we have also listed like all the users Git ID. So in the current project, if we if follow any other Git like the GitHub or GitLab or any other, so we can list down all the users Git ID, and we can also define like which user has what permission based on the role that we have added in the access matrix. So for example, the TL has the highest role, so it has been given the admin access, whereas the senior dev and the senior dev 1 and the senior dev 2 has been given write access, whereas the other users are given as only the read access. And this list will also provide the complete historical data about who are all different team members that worked in a project, and what are all the different access they were given in a project. And this will also help in quickly it is also quickly help in identifying like what are the different places where an employee needs to be added, like when onboarding in a project, or what are the different places from where an employee or his details needs to be removed when we are offboarding it from a project. So yes, so general practices. So yes, there are several common practices that should be applied to all these types of documents that we have discussed earlier. So just write just enough documentation. So you should find a balance between the no documentation and excessive documentation, because the poor documentation causes many errors and reduces efficiency in every phase of a software product development. And at the same time, there is no need to provide an abundance of documentation and to repeat the documentation in the several places. And only the most necessary and relevant information should be documented, and it also depends on the project to project. And next is the documentation is a continuous process. So yes, the documentation is an ongoing process. So this means that we should keep our documentation up to date, It is very important because if the documentation documents that are not updated periodically, so they lose their value. If the requirements change during the software development, so we need to ensure that there is a systematic documentation update progress process that include the information that has been changed. So in order to achieve this, we can use the any automatic version control system to manage this process more efficiently. So documentation is a collaborative efforts of all the team members. So yes, whenever we have written some documentation, so share it with the team and get their feedbacks on them, like how it can be improved or how it can be managed in a better way. And to get the more information, try to, and if we need to get the more information, so try to add the comment or ask questions and encourage other team members to share their thoughts and ideas. And every team member can make a valuable contribution to the document uh, we produce. So yes, that's it from my side in the documentation. So if you have any question, please add them in a Q&A section.
Hi Vishal, there are some questions in live Q&A.
Sure. Okay, so which experiences have you discovered any good tool to keep user stories grouped on a project, not just a spreadsheet, but a good tool? So yeah, in a good tool, like so in currently we are using the Jira to maintain like the all the user stories, and then we have the Confluence document where we can manage the all the user stories. Okay, so next question is like, do you make certain team members accountable for documentation? Who makes sure documentation is kept up to date? So yes, that's a really great question. Thanks for asking. So so it's like whenever in a current team we follow, so whenever we discuss any new requirements or if there are any bugs, so we use the Jira in the tracking tool. So we have created a process workflow there. So whenever we discuss the requirements with the team during the grooming, so during that time before moving the ticket forward in the ready, so there is a drop down added like if the ticket requires any kind of documentation like the technical documentation and user documentation, and then based on the discussion we move the ticket ahead, and then we create the different subtasks for the tickets. For example, if the ticket requires the technical documentation, so so in the feature ticket we select the that it requires the technical documentation, and then we create the subtask for the technical documentation. So whenever the developer or team finishes with the development, so and then later it can work on the creating the technical documentation. I hope I answer your questions. So next question is like, do you have recommendation for an open source web-based self-hosted platform which makes collaborative documentation more easily? We have tried wikis, but that's not working too well. No, sorry, I don't have any recommendation. I'm not aware of such tool. But thanks for asking. I will research on this and will get back to you. Can you go back to the slide that about the timeline of a project documentation? I missed the point 4. Sure, I will share the my slide as well with you after the session. Okay, so any other further questions?
Vishal, there is one question by Hilmer that you did not answer. It's on 4th number.
Surbi, can you repeat that question so I can see?
The question is, have you discovered any good tool to keep user stories grouped on a project? Not just spreadsheets, but a good tool.
Okay, so thanks for asking, Hilmer. So we have not discovered any tool. So currently we are using the Confluence to manage the like grouping the user stories. But I don't think I don't have any available tools so aware of. Okay, so if you have any questions, then also please add on so I can look at it. Okay, no, so thank you everyone for joining the session. So if you have any further questions, so please join our, please visit our Shrijan booth. We'll happy to answer all of your questions there. Thank you and have a great DrupalCon, everyone. Thanks. Bye-bye.